everybody. Welcome back to Review the Nerds. I'm Vincent.
And I'm Mike, and today we are reviewing Ant-Man. That's what someone would sound like if they were really small.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand the concept behind the sound effect. So we just had Avengers Age of Ultron a little bit ago, which ended Marvel's Phase 2, and Marvel's now kicking off their Phase 3 with Ant-Man, a new hero, who, even though is new to the movies, is a classic hero. In the comic books, Ant-Man was actually one of the founding members of the Avengers, but apparently Marvel decided not to include him yet just because he's one of the, kind of like lesser known to the general public. Plus, the original Ant-Man, Hank Pym, who it does have a character in this film, is not exactly the most popular, so instead they went with the second Ant-Man, Scott Lang. And that's what we got here. We had in this movie Scott Lang. He's a thief who's trying to turn his life around, and he's given a chance to do that through Hank Pym, a brilliant genius scientist who wants to pass on the mantle of the Ant-Man on to Scott to help him save his company from the man who's now running it, and is trying to use this technology that he's tried to keep secret for decades now and sell it as a new super weapon.
You know what would have been amazing?
What?
Is if Hank Pym was played by Rick Moranis. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids 4! Ant-Man!
Okay. I think this film, which brings in a big part of the film, this film had a ton of comedy in it, and a really great laughs. I saw we have a lot of cool characters. We have Paul Rudd, who we all know from so many different comedic performances. From
Starting with Clueless. That's the first time I ever saw him.
Yes, back in the day in Clueless, but I think he's better known now for movies like Role Models
Anchorman.
and Anchorman.
No, he was in Knocked Up.
Knocked Up, yeah. And and I think he was a great fit for this role, and I think that's why they used a lot of comedy in this film, because a superhero whose power that he shrinks and he can control insects, ants, it's kind of a goofy concept. I mean, don't get me wrong, we got a lot of goofy concepts in the Marvel universe. But this one, I think people have a little harder time clicking with it, but they address that. They make fun of things. They get a little meta with the comedy, and I think that worked very well with it.
Well, certainly one of the fears and anxieties that a lot of fans had about this film when they heard about it being adapted, they're like, are they going to be able to make this concept work in the world that they've kind of established? And, if you just hear the buzz in the streets, like a lot of people are like, Ant-Man, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's going to work and stuff. And Marvel's become such a trusted brand name that despite fears, I think that a lot of people still rallied behind it, including myself. And I've got to say that I think that they were only successful to an extent. There are just certain elements in these stories that work better in comic book form or animation, and they don't translate well necessarily to live action, and I feel like the ants obeying Ant-Man like soldiers is one of those things. It just felt a little over the top, and that's saying a lot considering that we're in a universe with Norse gods and super soldiers, but there's just something in the execution.
I'm disagreeing. To me, I really enjoyed this. I think it totally. Once again, I think the comedy worked well with it. I think we have some good characters, and even though controlling ants, we just had a movie a year ago where we had a tree be a superhero, where we had a short little talking raccoon be a superhero.
But see, that's why I make the argument that this comes to direction. We originally had Edgar Wright, who was going to be the director of this film. He is, of course, known for doing this movies with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. He's done Shaun of the Dead. He did Hot Fuzz.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, I love that film. That's like one of my favorite films.
So he has a very unique style, and apparently the rumor is that the Marvel Studios was not very confident with the fact that Edgar Wright wanted to do something really different with this. So instead, they hired Peyton Reed, and the reasons they obviously hired him is because he was willing to play ball. He was willing to do the movie the way that they wanted it to be, and the way they want it to be is pretty much just a recycled version of different elements you've already seen in the Marvel Universe. And that's another issue I have with this, is that it's really predictable. The drama conflict that's going on between the characters is so predictable, between Evangeline Lilly and Michael Douglas, the whole, distraught father-daughter relationship, rekindling it. And the problem with this especially is that Paul Rudd, his character, is so disconnected from this drama.
He's the third party that helps him to actually talk and communicate and try to understand where each other's coming from. Michael Douglas, who plays Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man, and his daughter, Evangeline, whose name's Hope, played by Evangeline Lilly, they had this moment where they finally kind of reconcile, and then Paul Rudd, a.k.a. Scott Lang, comes in and he just kind of kills the moment. And it's funny, and they work with it.
You've seen it. Honestly, you've seen it a million times. It's not an original arc at all.
Right. I'm not going to deny there's a few cliches and a couple of tropes.
A lot of cliches.
But it's still fun, man.
It was, alright, I'm not going to deny the fact the movie, it was fun, but This one, more so than many of the other ones, I wasn't hooked as much. Part of it, a big part of it, is that the villain literally could have been pulled off a corporate douchebag conveyor belt that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has had thus far. He's pretty much playing the same archetype, the same type of character that we have seen tons and tons of times, most notably in the Iron Man films, especially Jeff Bridges' character. I want control of the company, he's hiding things from me, and eventually I'm going to build a bigger, badder version of the suit that he's making, and I'm going to fight him at the end with the anti-version of whatever suit he has. We've seen this time and time again. There was Jeff Bridges in the first film, there's Sam Rockwell in the second film, there's Guy Pearce in the third Iron Man, and it also, you can even say it in the Hulk series, you have the anti-Hulk in that. You have the every movie they have the anti-version of the hero. It's getting old.
They've had anti-versions of heroes for going back for decades.
But with how much, but with how much the marketplace is getting hit with these superhero films lately, now more than ever, they need to start finding ways to make themselves different. And Edgar Wright, I think, was trying to do that. But this was so generic. The villain, his plot, what he was trying to do, you have seen it in every other Marvel film. It's completely forgettable. The villain, you could just toss him away. It's really a bad villain and a bad threat.
Oh,
it's hard to argue that, I think.
A little bit, but at the same time, it worked. You gotta remember, the first Iron Man movie kicked off Phase 1, and now we got a similar thing kicking off this one. And I still think, yes, okay, there's definitely some similarities between him and Obadiah Stane. Yeah. In the comic books, the original, like we said, we got Hank Pym, the original one, in here, even though he's not really active in the suit. In the comics, eventually the character, Hank Pym, goes through a very hard time in his life, and he actually becomes the villain in this movie called Yellow Jacket. He's not going to become he becomes more of an anti-hero, but he psychologically gets worse and worse to the point where he almost beats his girlfriend to death in the comics. That happens in the comics. So I like how they switch things around, whereas the reason why he's this guy's mentor and Hank Pym disconnects from him because he sees too much of himself in this guy. He sees his darker half. So this guy is what the dark half of Hank Pym that we're not going to see in this universe. Hank Pym was a scientist that worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. way back in the day, and when he developed the Ant-Man technology, he basically became an unofficial agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he went on missions and stuff, and eventually S.H.I.E.L.D. wanted to take his Ant-Man Pym particles. These particles allowed him to shrink and stuff. They wanted to start mass producing this stuff and make entire armies of Ant-Man, and he refused. But I guess there was a part of him that kind of wanted to go forward with it, and this guy, he sees how massively destructive this technology can be. And that's why he stopped being Ant-Man. That's why he hid the suit, had it locked away for decades. But this guy is not him. He's the darker. He's the darker that will keep exploring the technology further and further and taking it to dangerous levels. It's definitely not one of the better Marvel supervillains. All right, as much as I enjoyed the film, it's not really a traditional superhero film. It's like half heist film, half superhero film.
Yeah, that's actually a part of one of the more clever business models that Marvel's had going through their films, which is to blend genres. This time, it's a heist film mixed with a superhero film. In Captain America 2, it was a political thriller mixed with a superhero film. And it's been very effective thus far, and in this I think it's one of the things that maybe makes this film stand out as being a little unique. I don't want to totally neglect the fact the movie had things about it that were fun, okay? I'm not arguing the fact the movie's not fun. Like Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, I thought he was a great lead, I thought he did a great job. I thought it was a different way into a superhero story, having someone who is a former criminal. That all worked well, they made things kind of an everyman quality to him and stuff like that. It was a different way in, and that's where the movie, maybe you could argue, separates itself a little bit. I don't have a problem with that necessarily. I just think that everything around him is just so cliche, like his struggle with trying to see his estranged daughter, and the Michael Douglas stuff, and the villain stuff. It's so old and tired. The stuff that shines in this movie are the little moments, the moments with Paul Rudd and some of the action sequences and stuff like that. It's the visuals, it's the humor. Those are the things that stand out in this movie, and for that, I say that, it works. I don't have an issue with the movie on those levels. It's just, I think the story and all that stuff is just eh.
Okay. Well, Mike, I can totally understand that. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'll admit that there's, like I said, cliches and tropes used in the story. However, the characters are so much fun. The action is really good. I like the look of the Ant-Man suit. Especially the helmet. The helmet looks like it's old. The helmet looks like something that was designed, like decades ago. It doesn't have a heads-up display on the inside like the Iron Man suit has. I'm glad they didn't do that. They make the suit feel like it was built back in the day. I just thought that the action was good. The comedy, I think the story can be very generic at times, but everything else around it was just so good. All the actors did a great job. I thought for the most part the special effects were pretty good. There's a scene towards the beginning of the movie where we see a flashback with Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, and the CGI they did on his face, holy crap, it really looked like Michael Douglas back in the day. It looked like he came straight off the set of Wall Street. I was incredibly impressed by it. It was just awesome. I mean, they must have put a few extra, bucks into that one because he looked... Seriously, I could not tell it was CGI.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it had to be CGI because there's no way they special effects makeup the crap out of him. It was like, wow, that's some of the best facial CGI I've seen in a long time.
Well, yeah, actually, I'll agree with you on this. I thought the visual effects for him were really good because they used the same technology in him that they used for Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy and recently for Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator Genesis. And this looked leagues above that, above both of those.
Yeah.
Now, actually, to be fair, Arnold Schwarzenegger did look pretty good in Terminator Genesis, but this was even better.
Yeah.
Like, this was hard to recognize that it was CGI.
It looked more realistic than a lot of the dinosaurs in Jurassic World. I mean, the special effects in Jurassic World weren't bad, but I mean, this makes it look like, well, why couldn't you make the dinosaurs look that fucking real? I mean, holy crap, it was that good. I take it, I'm just going to keep ranting.
Harrison Ford could still be Indiana Jones. It could still happen. They could just de-age him back to his 30s. They did it for Michael Douglas.
Yeah, they just need to de-age his face, get rid of that gut. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm joking. That's my joke. That's my joke. Let me have a joke.
Poor Harrison Ford. It was really cool. That was the best visual effects in the movie. Now, visual effects-wise, I do gotta say that there is definitely, for me, a disconnection from character a lot of times when Scott Lang became small into ant size. It became all CGI, and he's surrounded by a CGI world at that point. And it's weird to say this, but I almost feel like the effects in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids series was more effective because it was real people that they were putting into these situations. I know it looked a little cheesy at times, but I felt the danger from them. Like I felt like they were in danger. I never felt the danger with Scott Lang because I just knew he was a computer-generated thing. And so
I would assume they did a lot of motion capture with him on this project. I mean, that would make sense because there were times when he was moving around, it seemed real. But otherwise, yeah. I mean, the suit kind of looks like it's made out of a leather, but there were times, I will admit, in the CGI, the way his body moved looked a tad bit rubbery.
Yeah.
A tad bit. I still really enjoyed it, though. I thought the special effects were great. Especially when he shrunk down, the way they do, how everything's bigger around him. I mean, it felt like, I gave you the Honey Shrunk the Kids vibe. The way they present the world and how everything's so small, and you can see all these little details and things that you couldn't normally see. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was horrible CGI, not at all.
No. I don't want to say it was horrible CGI. It's the same problem that a lot of modern movies run into, where when you abuse CGI too much, there is a disconnection, from the characters you're seeing on the screen. It's like watching a video game.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This movie wouldn't have been possible without CGI, just like every other superhero movies come out for the past 15 years. You need CGI for this shit to work. It just, once again, I feel like we're bringing this up a lot lately, but more practical effects would be great, and we would really love to see it.
The best is always a combination of practical and CGI, and
yeah.
This one leaned a little bit more towards CGI. I would have liked more of a balance. But for the CGI they used, it was top of the line, of course. I mean, Marvel is, great with that. They always have really good special effects. And there is some really cool stuff in this. As Vincent was pointing out, whenever he shrinks, how the world just suddenly becomes large and envelops him, and there's an awesome opening moment where he becomes small for the first time in a bathtub, and the water turns on. It's like this tidal wave of water, to him, but to, us, it's just, water running in a bath. It's always really cool in the movie whenever they cut from his perspective, and things seem so giant and huge, and then we suddenly cut to a normal-sized person's perspective, and it's just these little minuscule things happening. I mean, I was raised on freaking Tim Burton's Batman with the Danny Elfman score, or John Williams doing Superman. Even Danny Elfman doing Spider-Man. It's really nice when you can have a superhero that has a sound theme. Like, when he's going to come on the screen because you know his theme. Recent modern-day superhero movies are getting less and less interested in really, really having an identity musically. And this one's probably the weakest with it. Like, I kind of can recognize when Thor's going to come on the screen or when Captain America is.
Yeah.
Iron Man especially because he likes, 80s rock.
Oh, yeah.
But
AC/DC.
But I don't really know what Scott Lang's musical theme is. But anyways, that's a small little detail. But
I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you on that one. I'll argue with you a lot of stuff on this film, but music, I can't argue with much. Yeah, I really didn't think he had like a defined, style. So, but hey, what can you do? I don't know. I mean, to me, everything else in this film was like mostly everything else was awesome. So.
I think if we had Edgar Wright in the director's chair, we would have really gotten something unique. But Peyton Reed just kind of delivered pretty much the exact thing you'd expect. There's no real twists or surprises in this movie, despite a few cameos maybe. But it plays very, very much like you'd expect. And that's just where I have some negativity towards it. Alright, moving forward, Marvel, the one thing I would say to you is don't be afraid to take risks. People are going to get superhero fatigue if you don't mix it up sometimes. You gotta mix it up a little bit. You gotta try, some different approaches. And Edgar Wright definitely would have been a different approach.
No offense to Edgar Wright, because once again, he directed Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I fucking love that film. Yeah, I really love that film. If we ever ask me about, oh shit. But I think it's good that they didn't kind of go with it, because I think if you give the movie too much of a unique feel, it doesn't feel like it's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm totally for them taking risks. This movie was partially a risk. Ant-Man is definitely not one of the better-known heroes to the general public, and even to the comic book fans who know Ant-Man, he has a lot of problems. Most people don't like Ant-Man. Even Scott Lang, the more preferred Ant-Man, he's still not that huge. But this movie did in part take a risk deciding to go with Ant-Man. Just like they took a risk with going with Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, those characters were even less known than Ant-Man. I mean, Ant-Man wasn't that known, but he's so Guardians of the Galaxy,
But the thing is, they had James Gunn, and James Gunn, they allowed to give him a lot of freedom with that movie. I mean, he did take a lot of risks with that. That was very different than any other Marvel movie you've seen yet. And Edgar Wright was an opportunity to be another James Gunn. But I felt like they didn't give him the chance to shine.
I'm not once again not against Edgar Wright, but I think it worked out for the best. We'll
never know, because we'll never see what Edgar Wright was going to do.
We will never know.
But it's fun. It's still a roller coaster. You still have the visual effects. You still have a great leading man. And that's something Marvel has never failed on. They always cast really great people in these superhero roles. And Paul Rudd is great as Scott Lang. Michael Douglas is also a great choice for Hank Pym. Evangeline Lilly, I was always a fan of hers, in Lost and everything. It's great to see her in this too. The bad guy, we'll just forget about him. He's pretty forgettable. But the movie has a lot of things that work for it. Michael Pena also is very funny in the movie. He's a great little sidekick character. There's a lot of funny moments. Like, I like the scene where they're coming up in the van to help Scott Lang at the end. All the cops, they're like, back it up. Just back up, back up. That was funny. There's some great stuff in this. So, I will say that it is worth seeing. I think it's a concept that's going to be a little hard for some people to swallow. And a lot of that comes with, you have to swallow the ridiculousness that he can communicate and control ants. And it doesn't always play, but hey, check it out. It's still part of the MCU, and it's going to lead to Civil War, which, should be exciting.
Yeah. For me, I mean, like I said, I really liked this film. I thought it was a great way to start off Phase 3. Because Phase 3 is half about continuing on the stories that have been building in Phase 1 and Phase 2, but at the same time introducing a lot of new characters, a lot of new superheroes, and I think Ant-Man was a success, alright? Once again, the plot not that original, not really, I'm not going to argue that point. However, characters were cool, the actors playing them did a good job, the comedy was good, the action was good, most of the visual effects were pretty impressive. I just think everything that was good in this movie was so good that it helped totally make up for the lower points in the film. So I recommend, if you haven't seen it, please go see it. I'm probably going to get it on DVD when it comes out, or Blu-ray if I have a damn Blu-ray player by that time. But I thought it was really good. I'm totally amped for watching it again. If somebody would come up to me and be like, hey man, have you seen Ant-Man yet? I'd be like, yeah, I saw it, but if you want to go see it, I'll go see it again, because I really liked it. Great film. I'm excited to see what else we got coming up in Phase 3, because we got Black Panther and Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel, and this makes me hopeful that these new characters are going to really be cool. Well, everybody, thank you again for coming and watching our little review show here. If you have anything to say, let us know in the comments. Agree, disagree, we'll hear it all out. If you like us, follow us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at @nerds_review. And of course, if you want to see more videos, click subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more videos we're going to do, because we really enjoy this. So until next time, I'm Vincent.
And I am Mike.
And this is
Review of the Nerds. So Vincent, I forgot to tell you, in preparation for this review, all Scott Lang style, broke into Marvel, got this little prop that they used for the movie, and hey, let's see what the hell happens with this, because I want to...
I don't know if that's such a good idea. I mean,
what, you really think this is going to shrink me?
I had a friend who used to work there, and she said they kind of would play around with shit all the time.
Oh yeah, like they'd really make something that shrinks. You saw the CGI in this movie, it's not going to do anything. Check this out! Boom! Whoa!
Wow! Wow! Oh! Hey, this could be a good look for me.
Dude, you see the Comic-Con trailer of Batman vs Superman?
Yeah.
What the hell was up with Jesse Eisenberg's sale? I mean, am I right? Shit.
You let the hit people that are inside, you son of a bitch!
No, wait,